it's Women's History Month, and you're going to be my first guest.
Oh, hey.
I guess I want to say my whole idea for my podcast is to highlight us. I'm not excluding anybody else, but we get so much negative, attention that, I want this podcast to just to highlight us and to show, our words and things that we do in a positive way. So again, thank you for being here. If you're ready, we can start.
Of course, I'm ready. I was born ready.
Cool. That's what I'm talking about. Welcome to Deep Conversations, everybody. I am your host, Ryan Stewart, and I'm here humbly, and I'm thankful to have Miss Asha Boston on the show with me today. And Asha, I always like to start with my guests giving my viewers just a little background of yourself, things just to let them in on who you are a little bit.
Sure. So I'm Asha. I'm a filmmaker, nonprofit founder, a little bit of a fashion designer. I got my start super early in the industry when I was like 16 doing journalism, and we've been going up ever since. I'm super excited to be here, and thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
Now you being the founder of a nonprofit organization, the dinner table documentary.
Yes.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so the dinner table started when I was in my final year of college. I had worked in journalism again since I was 16. And so by the time I got to college, I had a pretty healthy resume. I was working, part-time, writing for a couple of websites, doing some on-camera work. But, coming towards the end, when you're getting ready to leave college, you're applying for jobs, I'm like, I don't know, the field just doesn't feel the same anymore. Yeah. And so thankfully I ended up in a film class, and that just changed my whole perspective on storytelling. And so the dinner table actually started as a film, and it was intended to be this documentary that showed like how multidimensional women could be, especially women of color, specifically at dinner tables, because at that time there were a lot of studies coming out about how damaging reality television was. And I'm like, all right, well, I mean, all the drama happens at dinner tables on reality TV, so why not take that same concept and kind of flip it on its head? And so that's what I did. And I started showing it. I turned it into a research project in the time that I had left in college. And then when I graduated and came back to New York, I just took it back to my old high school, took it to some friends' organizations, and the reaction from the students let me know oh snap, this is much bigger than me. Yeah. They are looking for something different. And when a student challenged me one day and she was like, I mean, this is cute, but this is not my life. I was like, oh, well, why can't you be in a room, at a dinner table with women who can encourage you? And so it started as just small dinner table events. And then it just turned into workshops, and then it turned into a lot of things I couldn't fund out of my pocket anymore. So then I finally took the jump to make it a nonprofit.
Wow. That's it's so interesting to me when you have, different creatives and the mind frame of, people, because just so, that being so simple of just being at a dinner table, I don't think people understand the conversations that go on in, Black households at a dinner table.
Oh yeah.
It's hilarious. You know what I mean? And it can also, I think that's something that's missing though in today's world, because nobody sits at a table anymore. You get your food and somebody goes upstairs and everything like that. So I think that's dope. I do. I think that's dope. And then you're a CEO of a Passion Fruit Vineyard Productions.
Yes, I feel like everything in my life starts as something and then it evolves into something else. Yeah. So Passion Fruit Vineyard was originally the name of a clothing line that I started again around that time when I entered journalism when I was 16. I was working with Teen Vogue at the time. So, you're empowered to do what you want to do because you're around all these people doing what they want to do. It did not work out the way I thought it would.
Right.
But because I had I did. And that's what's important. You know, I started. That's what's really important. And because I had already filed the business name within the state of New York, I was like, all right, well, I don't want to, liquidate it. I want to keep the name. I just want to change it up and maybe do something different. And because my life started moving more towards like film and TV production, I'm like, just turn it into a production company, keep the name, it's unique. Nobody's using it. Like, it's yours. Yeah.
So, and you, and I think this that I'm getting ready to bring up is amazing. And because in June 2016, you were honored by the Obama administration.
This is true.
Yes. Can you talk about that?
I mean, that was crazy. That was, the last year in office, their last year in office. And, I was a little late to the game on how politics play into your everyday life. Mm-hmm. But thankfully, I figured it out when I did. And it was around the same time that the nonprofit was starting to form itself as, not just these dinner events we're doing, but like an actual community organization. Mm-hmm. And so, again, because I've been out working for so long, really active on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, all those things at the time, a lot of people took notice. And, they always have that saying about like people talking about you in rooms you don't even know.
Oh man, yes.
Yeah. It's crazy. That was definitely one of those situations where, I didn't even realize that some people from, his administration who specifically work on councils for women and girls were following me. Mm-hmm. And so I remember when I got the email that I was like nominated as a change maker to go to the summit, I was like, what? This is crazy. And I was like, of course I accept, and then actually getting to go to the summit and seeing them in person, I mean, from a distance, but in person was insane. Yeah. But even just like being in the room with all of these incredibly phenomenal women, like I remember I was standing in line to get like, my pamphlet and my lanyard and stuff. And like, I turned around and this Beverly Bond, the founder of Black Girls Rock. And I'm like, what? I'm seeing like mentors that I had in the room and they're like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I know you're here, but I'm here too. So it was a really powerful experience for me. It was a really cool moment.
Now with that, how has that, with that honor, how has that experience propelled your confidence since then going forward?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it just proves that you are worth all the space you take up in any room that you walk into, any dinner table that you sit at. I think a lot of times we sit at tables and, to quote Michelle Obama, not perfectly, but to quote her, she said she sat at a lot of tables and realized that not everybody who sits there is qualified, but they show up for themselves, And so that's what I try to do. I sit at tables and I get into rooms where I know that I'm powerful and I know what I'm worth, and I'm gonna show up for myself every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this, you can feel the, when you speak, you can feel the confidence, coming off, and that's good. It's a good. A lot of women need to hear that. You know what I mean? Because it's I don't know. I feel like it's some things going around where there's a lot of, women bashing and stuff like that, and it's just
everybody to win,
and wouldn't nobody be here without a woman. So I just don't understand the bashing for me. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. And you're also a community activist. What have you learned since you've been in the community and you stepped out of the community? What have you learned about the community?
That number one, self-care is everything. I'm a giver. I love to, be of service and help people. I love seeing other people win. It makes me feel like I've won, especially because, a lot of people have helped me in the space that I'm in. And so I just feel like it's my duty to pay it back. But I learned the hard way that you cannot pour from an empty cup. So you have to take care of yourself. So I do a lot of self-care. I make sure that's a part of my routine every day, every month. But outside of that, I'm a Brooklyn girl. I'm from Bed-Stuy. And so I've learned, most importantly, that, my community is a direct reflection of who I am. And I take that everywhere I go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's our neighborhoods. Well, I'm from Delaware, but our neighborhoods, when you grow up, you really do see how even wherever you go, that's never going to leave, because that's the foundation of where you came from. All the grittiness and all the fight and all the toughness and everything that we went through, it was stressful at the time. We was younger, going through stuff. But it's you see how that helps you along the way, and to get in different doors that you might not be able to get through.
For sure. You're probably the first person I think I've met from Delaware. That's pretty cool.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we some good people down here.
Okay.
Yeah. Now while you out in the community, I'm sure you got your Nike sneaks on. I want to talk about the Nike deal that you struck with the limited edition sneaker.
Yeah, that was crazy. I'm still processing that, to be honest. There was so much that I learned about business that, I think I needed to get hip to in this stage of my life and career. And I'm so grateful to them and that team for giving me a chance. There was this program called Cultivator that was basically a collaboration with Nike. And they would kind of seek out creatives that were doing their thing. I can't even say doing one specific thing, just doing their thing and living their truth. And so I remember seeing something about the opportunity. I was like, I can give it a shot. Like, I think, I could do a little design something, especially because I love fashion design so much, And so when they actually emailed me back, like, are you available for a call? I was like, oh, okay. And then we were on the phone for like an hour. I mean, the interview was intense. It was like an hour, of just going through who you are, where you're trying to go, what is it that you do now, and where do you see yourself in 5 years? I mean, they really look at you as an entire person. And that was really important throughout the process because, more than just us having this deal with Nike, it's like, in reality, Nike has a deal with you. It's your brand. It's your story, it's your audience. And so that was a really empowering experience because it's like, oh, I can play this a little bit smart if I really strategize. And so that's what I did. I was like, I know I'm working on this documentary series about, gentrification. I want to make sure that whoever is into this, would kind of land there at the end because I know how I want to grow my audience. I know the type of people that will be interested. Again, because I'm from New York and grew up in Brooklyn, like sneaker culture is our culture.
It is.
And so, I was really grateful to find a really clever way to weave the story of what I'm working on in my doc into the silhouette of the shoe, give it a name it after their train car, the R46, and then even have like transit workers cop the shoe and send me pictures of them. Like it was so crazy.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, because when I was reading it and then I went and I was looking at the page with the sneakers, I said, these damn sneakers is nice, man.
Thank you.
They're nice. Now can you talk about your documentary that you were just talking about?
Yeah, so it's called The Time Before Kale. And it is a docuseries about gentrification. I mean, that's the umbrella topic, but really the heart of it is Black neighborhoods and historical Black neighborhoods and how they have sustained themselves over time, what their stories are and who the community heroes and sheroes are and how can we protect them and protect their legacy as our neighborhoods continue to change. Yes. And so I've been working on this since 2015. Someone told me it takes 7 years to make a good documentary. And so, heaven help us, we in year 7 and we almost there. Yeah. But I'm really grateful to do the work. We're doing the pilot episode right now. Of course, it's about Bed-Stuy because that's where I'm from. And we're not just looking at like the Great Migration when everyone came in like the 1930s. We taking it all the way back to like the 19th century, like the 1883, these really small neighborhoods that were given to, enslaved Africans from the Dutch before the British, we explore some crazy stuff, but then we just have some really beautiful community members and residents just sharing their stories with us and how they'd like to be remembered. And so I'm really proud of the work that we've done.
Yeah, that is dope. Have you thought about venturing out into other cities outside to do other?
100%. 100%. I have my eyes on so many different places. I remember learning about Los Angeles and how the city of Los Angeles was founded by Black and brown individuals. I'm like, that's that's dope. You know, like, why are we talking about that more?
That's
you know,
we learn in school.
It's crazy. You know, I've learned a lot about Denver, Colorado, of course, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Atlanta, some places in Florida. I mean, I feel like I'm relearning the history of the United States through this project, and I'm so excited to continue to explore.
It's funny because my when I was in school growing up, I'm 37, but when I was in school, I never liked reading. I never did. But when I left school, I started learning myself. And then when you start learning yourself, you want to learn about your history. So I started researching a lot about our history, and I went, just way back, even the biblical times and stuff like that, and learning that kind of stuff. And just my small state of Delaware, it's, that's where the Underground Railroad was. Yeah, it's in the city of Wilmington. There's houses where I remember a lady was telling me in her house when she bought it, there's like a trap door in the basement. She said when you open it, it's a small tunnel down there, and she said it goes. So she started researching, and that's where they used to. That's where they travel to. And this kind of stuff, like you said, why aren't we talking about them like this? You know, it's an amazing thing. Now, you were talking about goals earlier. What are some of the goals that you have for yourself in the next? You can say in 2022, and then we can go for the next 5 years. Bigger.
Okay. All right. So 2022, I definitely want to finish the pilot episode of this documentary. You know, it's been a while. I love it, but we're ready to start wrapping it up.
Yeah.
But I'd love to finish the pilot episode, and I mean, the film festival circuit is kind of closing up with all the applications. So I at least want to get into one film festival to do a good premiere for it. So, prayers up, fingers crossed for us meeting those deadlines. Additionally, I'd love to continue to grow the dinner table. We actually landed our second school-wide partnership in Washington, DC. So we're Department of Education vendors in New York City and DC, which means we can legally contract in our services. We make our own curriculum and stuff like that. So period 3 of school, some girls can go to a class that's about the dinner table, which is really dope. And for the next few years to come, what I'd like to do personally, I mean, I'd love to see the dinner table continue to grow as a national and hopefully international organization, formally. And then for my film journey, I would love to see A Time Before Kale get picked up and turned into a series, but also do some sort of dope work to help families archive their family history, because I feel like we're also sitting on a lot of gold mines that we don't even know how to protect all the way. So make sure that people are saving family pictures, talking to elders, logging it somewhere where you can find it later and pass down to generations. And then in addition to just being in the film world, I want to keep exploring more Black stories, more Caribbean stories, storytelling in general. It's in me. So I would love to do more of that.
Yeah, you have such a feel good story, because again, there's so much negativity going on. You know what I mean? Just everything that you see on TV and in the news and everything, and just to be able to hear you speak and all your ideas and your dreams and everything, and it's gonna happen because you done already said it.
Thank you. Manifestation. Here we go.
Yeah, and once it's already in your brain, once it's there and you put it out in the air, it's gonna happen. So
absolutely,
I am excited to see all of this come into fruition, and I'm excited for everything that you're doing to come on down, to trickle down to Delaware. I want to,
Okay, we'll be there. Just let us know.
Yeah.
What we gotta do.
Because I do want to go back up to New York, because I did a few interviews with a couple of people in New York, and the guy, he had he's got 2 restaurants, and he told me, he said, come on man, come on down to eat, man. So I'm gonna be down there. Yeah.
As you should. As you should.
So I'm gonna be looking for you now.
Okay, let me know.
Yeah. Now, where can they reach you on social media?
Yes, so if you want to follow me on social media, you can find me at Asha KB on both Twitter and Instagram. It's Asha, ASHAKAYB. And then in both of my bios on those platforms, you'll find Dinner Table and Time Before Kale. But if you want to see it formally, it's at Dinner Table Doc, DINNERTABLEDOC. And then A Time Before Kale is A Time Before Kale on all platforms. And then, of course, there's the website, which I got to pitch. So if you want to find me business-wise, make some magic, you can visit my website, www.ashakb.com, and you'll find like my official portfolio and everything.
Again, before we go, I want to thank you for coming on my podcast and just sharing your story, because I feel this is going to help a lot of people just with the confidence that you exuded today. I think it's going to help a lot of young girls just to, all the ideas that they have, that they'll be able to just, if they just feel it and just speak about it, they can move forward in things, because you got a whole lot going on. You got a whole lot of projects you got going on, and that's good. That's good. I'm proud of you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So thank you again for coming on my podcast, Asha. Thank you.
Of course. I appreciate you too. And thank you for having this amazing podcast space. I know it's going to touch a lot of people. So, I hope everything you speak into the world and the universe, continue to manifest and come true.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're on YouTube, baby.